Good evening, everyone. Welcome to bloody Saturday night, Jibber Jabber, the 14th of October, which also happens to be referendum bloody day. I shouldn't say too much. Nikki Slade will be up me. She's already been up us for talking politics already in the chat room. Hope you're all well, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. YouTube telling me I'm live. And we're joined here so far. We've still got another special guest to come, guys. Brad Howell down there in bloody Newcastle, Maitland near Newcastle in New South Wales, and Jay Slade from Gloucester in New South Wales. And we've still got Justin Dillon to come on, guys. So Justin was working today. He shouldn't be too far away. He rang me at 5 o'clock my time and said, I'm on my way home, Buck. I won't be too far away. So thanks for bloody coming on tonight, fellas. Really appreciate it. And if you haven't guessed, guys, tonight's theme's all about firefighting and with the fire season coming on in Australia, and all the special guests tonight are fireys or have been fireys in the past. And we'll do the introductions shortly. We'll just go through, and someone said we got 5B5s. Lewis Kudlak said it's hot and 35 over in West Aussie. Good fire weather over there, Jace. CJ Ward, Lorna McMillan, Steve W, 5B5s over in the UK. How good is technology these days? Steve W over there in the UK, and he's got his 5B5s, can see everyone on the screen. It's just amazing now, isn't it, what you can do? Aussie Outdoor Man, g'day, mate, how are you? Marky Hopkins, the Pump Koala's on, Toddy, how are you, mate? Steve from Soar Adventures, and Justin Dillon. Here he is. Here he is. He's just bloody skull on a wine as I bring him on. G'day, Justin. How are you, mate?
You saw that. I was trying to sneak the sneaky sipping before you turned me on.
I saw you, but the thing, Justin, he was coming on and he was trying to
There he is.
wine before he went live. So
Got a satellite delay down in Mexico.
Oh, well.
Oh, that's good. We'll do a few more shout outs, fellas, and then we'll get you to introduce yourself and let everyone know what sort of firefighting skills, your background and all that type of stuff, because Brad and Justin are from a similar background, guys. Brad's a fiery in New South Wales, or was a fiery in New South Wales. Justin's a firefighter down in Victoria. And I wanted Jason to come on because Jason's a rural firefighter. A different ball game to what you guys. I know you've done some rural stuff too, Justin, but that's his expertise there and out fighting that. And we're going to concentrate a lot tonight on that type of stuff because they're the fires that really affect Australia. And we'll talk about the three big ones in a minute. We've got some facts and figures there to run by you. So, yeah, she's a bit of a fire theme tonight, guys. We all remember the terrible fires from 2020. The what were they called? The Black Summer. I keep getting the Black Saturday and the Black Summer fires, and we're going to talk about the Black Saturday fires of 2009 as well. Steve from Soar Adventures is on. G'day, Steve, down there in Kingaroy. And the Wanderer's on. We've got a few of the legends on. Speaking of which, is anyone on the Brad, Jason, are any of you going to the Legends camp? Brad, I think you're going, are you?
Yeah, we're already booked. We're going.
Jason, Nicky will be there. Justin, I don't think you and Andrew will be up there, will you, mate?
No, I don't. I think we were planning. I've got leave in February, and I think we're planning possibly to head over to WA. But we got the house getting built around that time, so we're a little bit stuck at home back and forth. So.
Oh, well, we'll see Brad and Jace over there at the Legends event anyway. That's going to be an absolute cracker there at Warwick in August next, 9th, 10th, and 11th of August. That'll be honest before we know it. After Christmas, we'll be really winding up for that. So it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Hey, Hugo! Say good day to Hugo, everyone.
Hey, Hugo.
Couldn't help himself. I'm sure he knows what's going on.
Hugo and Connor. And Rafa's outside with Mum. Mum just got home from Cairns. She went up to watch young Alicia, the granddaughter, playing basketball today. And Connor will be down with Andrea, no doubt. Trev Kelly's on. I saw Rocky today, 35 in Rockhampton today. And happy birthday to Kane. It is Kane Higgins, the diddly donk from Serena's birthday. Was it today or yesterday? Kane, if you're on, happy birthday, mate. Speaking of diddly donks, Lukey Reed, the diddly donk from Launceston in Tasmania, is on. Lukey, where are you? I think it's a big secret. Luke doesn't want anyone to know where he is. It's bloody top secret stuff. We know he was recently at the V8s at Bathurst. There. So, Lukey, g'day, mate. Lorna McMillan said I froze. That's not good. Maxie V, g'day, fellas, from down in Victoria. Got another Vic on. Graham Whittaker, I keep dropping out. How you's got me, fellas? Am I dropping out at all, or is it?
No. Well,
maybe if I'm dropping out, you might have shit internet at wherever you are, guys. Rob the Wanderer said, having been in Malakuta in the 2019 fires, really looking forward to this chat. Wow, Rob, if I knew that, I probably would have had you on, mate. Rob was at Malakuta during the 2019 fires. That's the place that was just almost apocalyptic, wasn't it?
That was hell on earth.
Yeah.
Boy, that was Malakuta's where they all had to run in the ocean, guys, and the Navy had to evacuate them. Just incredible. Blackers is on, an hour late in Queensland. Yeah, it's only 6:08 here in Queensland. We don't need daylight savings up here. We've got heaps of sunshine.
The curtains are fake.
Bloody Mexicans. I hate that daylight savings, eh? We're down in...
Tell us
you know
about
why?
it.
You know why you hate it, don't you? You know why you hate daylight savings?
Because you got it.
No, you Queenslanders reckon your bloody curtains will fade because the sun's out longer.
Oh, mate. They trialled daylight savings back in the 70s in Queensland. We were living out in Cunnamulla at the time, which is right out west. And dead set, the sun was still up at 11 o'clock. It was bullshit. And Brisbane and the bloody Gold Coast and the Sunshine Coast want it. Well, I reckon they should go and join. You can have them, Brad and Jace. You can have them. Brisbane and the Sunshine Coast and the Gold Coast. Redraw the border, and they can become a cockroach bloody country.
Does that mean we have to accept Palaszczuk as well?
Don't even mention her name on this channel. I hate her with a passion. But we're not, as I said, we certainly don't want daylight savings in North Queensland. And I know they don't want it out west.
No, we'll send him Daniel Andrews.
What a diddly. Speaking of diddly donks, wasn't he? You had one of the best, mate. You had one of the best.
Nikki's going to be up you blokes.
Oh, sorry, Nick, we're talking politics.
She's going to come in and she's going to belt Jace over the head. Something, and you're in trouble.
A couple more shout outs and then we'll get into it, fellas, because it's going to be a long night, I feel. No, Steve W's got us good comms. The Poms have got good comms over there. They've got good internet over there in England. Loud and clear. Nags has got us loud and clear. Yeah, maybe you got shit internet for those who were buffering there for a while, but I haven't seen any buffering things on here. Andrew Johnson, 5B5s, wherever Andrew is. Colleen Oliver, speaking of politics, just for 2 seconds, New Zealand had their elections today. Colleen Oliver over there in New Zealand, over the ditch, over there in Phil Weber country. And Colleen, any news on who is it your existing Prime Minister going to get back in, mate, or is there going to be an upset over there? I saw it on the news tonight. New Zealand's having their big elections today, so we'll see how that goes. Speaking of bloody over the ditch and diddly donks, Phil W is on. G'day, Phil. How are you? Hope you voted today over there in the ditch. Maybe you'll have a new Prime Minister, or maybe the existing one. What's Sean White? What's happening with tripping a van? Mate, you are way behind the 8 ball. I don't own a caravan. I sold it. I don't have it anymore. I got sick of it and I sold it. I don't want to talk about it ever again, mate. Caravan? Bloody hell. Here we go. Lukey Reed, he told Roz, tell Buck not to tell anyone where I am. And Lukey's just let the cat out of the bag. He's at Ingenia Holiday Park in Byron Bay. speaking of Byron Bay, bloody nice part of the world there, Byron Bay. Absolutely beautiful. How do I get rid of that? Ah. Chrissy Bainrock. G'day, Buck. Watching. Holy dooly. Chris is watching from Penang in Malaysia, everyone. G'day, Chris. Wow. I don't think I've ever had anyone watch me from Malaysia before. That's a new one.
Last time I was in Penang, I nearly got locked up.
Yeah, I know. Was that when you were in the Navy, obviously, was it?
Yeah, we kind of borrowed a couple of scooters and busted them up, and the cops
You didn't
wanted
do the
driver's
Crocodile
licenses.
Dundee check, did you?
Huh?
You didn't do the Crocodile Dundee check, did you?
No, no.
Right.
No, that was in Thailand.
Sean, enough of that. We'll see what everyone's voted, mate. We'll see what the outcome was. We don't want to keep banging on about it now. Whatever gets up, yes or no, so be it. And whatever yes or no gets up, we accept it and we move on tomorrow. So, yeah. Phil McCavity, it's your internet, mate, because everyone else seems to have me okay, mate. Andrew John, South Australia, Mount Lofty Ranges there. Phil W. said, who cares who wins over the ditch? Oh, dear. Anyway, righto, that's enough. Beautiful weather there at the moment. Lukey Reed at Byron Bay. No, Nikki said Navy stories later, Jace.
Yeah, she's already getting uppy.
Yeah, she knows. I know what you Navy blokes used to get up to.
It's all lies.
Is it true you went in Jace? Is it true you went into the Navy with an arsehole and you came out with a porthole?
That's a bit harsh.
What? Anyway, enough of that. Righto. On that note, we're going to get serious. You can see I've got 3 diddly donks on the screen with me there, and they're all either current firefighters or retired firefighters. What's that? Was that my voice I could hear then?
Yeah, someone's got it running there and it's feeding back through the...
Okay. What am I doing? Brad, I'll start with you, mate. If you can just introduce yourself to everyone, let them know. You've probably seen all these guys in the chat room, and it's the first time I've had these guys on. Well, you've probably seen Justin. I've done a video with him before. Jace, I don't know if, you probably would have seen Jace on one of my MrBuckaroonie trips. And I don't know, Brad, have you been on one of my videos before, mate? Can't remember. Oh, which is, I still wish I had that video, mate. That was an absolute cracker. But anyway, Brad, give us an introduction, mate. Let us know where you're from and what your firefighting experience is, mate.
Yeah, good day, everyone. I'm sorry I haven't had a chance to type back to you. My typing speed is only eclipsed by Buck. So you'll know who I am. I joined what was New South Wales Fire Brigades on the 15th of January 2000, and I retired on the 15th of January 2022. So I had 22 years exactly with what is now called Fire Rescue New South Wales. I started my career at East Maitland Fire Station, and I then transferred in 2005 over to Maitland Fire Station. So I went from 373 station to 374 station. The 373 station went full permanent. So those guys are only just about a K down the road from where I actually live. And I used to work over at Maitland. But I wasn't a permanent firefighter like Justin is. I was what they call a retained firefighter. And so that means basically is that we respond to a telephone call and a pager, and we get paid for our time and training and whatnot. And it's basically the same fire service, but just different staffing levels, basically. So we did about 8 or 9 years as an intermediate hazmat station. So Fire Rescue New South Wales is the combat agency in New South Wales for all hazardous materials response. So I did that for about 8 or 9 years when the station was accredited with that. Then that truck and those accreditations moved up the road to a another station just in the same LGA, but just a different station. So did that, and I really enjoyed that. I really loved hazmat. That was good. I've got a bit of not a science background, but I always loved science. So, hazardous materials is something that that is a bit of a specialised field, but not anywhere near what our permanent guys do. So intermediate is between the normal pump, which you see running around the town in your local area, then intermediate, and then full-blown hazmat, which is the permanent guys. We got a hazmat unit in Newcastle. But yeah, that's what I did.
And we're going to talk about that. A lot of people think, firefighters, all they do is put fires out. There's a lot more to it, and we're going to talk about that shortly. So thanks for that, Brad. We'll go on to Justin now. Justin, you want to give us a bit of an intro, mate, with your firefighting thing?
Sure. Yeah, so I graduated from the training college in 2007 and ended up out west. So I'm in the southeastern suburbs of Melbourne, and ended out west, which could have been further. It could have been more regional, but it was still far enough from home. I spent close to 5 years out west, and then found my way back home to Howell, which is around about 10 to 15 minutes from home. I, when working at Howell, became a heavy hazmat technician. We've got a heavy hazmat there. That encompasses CBR, which is chemical, biological, and radiological response. And like Brad touched on, there's quite a bit of science involved, and a lot of detector work. And even though I'm not good at maths, I soon learnt how to apply some mathematical calculations to utilising those detectors. I had no choice, so I had to learn. But I enjoyed that, and I'm hoping to get back to Howell soon. Currently working at another fire station close to home, but I've worked across the whole state. I've worked in Melbourne CBD at number 1 station, Eastern Hill, and I've been fortunate enough to work across the whole state and be involved in probably wasn't a pleasure to be involved in the 09 fires, to be quite honest, but was involved in the 09 fires and 2019 as well. So I've been involved in some fairly big campaign fires, even though predominantly most of our work is urban. But we'll talk a bit more about that later, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll talk about the bushfires and that. Thanks for that, mate. And that picture you sent me from the Howell fire station, I couldn't get that picture to upload on the slideshow. And I think it's when we first met, mate. Like, you must have been watching the channel, and I sent a Townsville Chiefs Mr.Buckaroonie shirt down to the Howell fire station, and I went to all the Howell fire station crew, all the best guys, blah blah blah, and Mr. Buckaroonie, and Justin sent me a great photo of him and his crew in front of the fire engine, and Justin was there in his Townsville Chiefs bloody t-shirt. That was a great photo, and it wouldn't bloody, for some reason, upload to the slideshow. But thanks for that, mate. We'll talk more about other stuff a bit later. Jace, tell us all about yourself, mate.
Yeah, g'day everybody. I guess my firefighting pathway kind of started in 1987 when I joined the Navy when I was 16. Part of our initial training, being in the Navy, obviously, you're at sea, so if anything goes wrong at sea, you're it. You can't call on anybody. So did the initial firefighting and damage control module down at Cerberus. And, of course, you're forever practicing and drilling that all the time, both when you're ashore and at sea. So I became very competent in shipboard firefighting and compartment firefighting. And then when I discharged from the Navy in 97, I became a volunteer with the West Australian Fire and Rescue Service. So over in WA at that time, they only had about 500 career firefighters, and they were literally based in the metro area of Perth, and two of the larger country cities also had career firefighters. But everywhere else, the Perth suburbs, the fringe suburbs, and the country towns relied on fire and rescue volunteers. So we were trained to the same level as the career guys in hazardous materials, road rescue, structural firefighting, bush firefighting. So I did that for 6 years before re-enlisting into the Navy. And when I re-enlisted into the Navy, I went back in as a helicopter technician. So that also then had me getting trained up in aviation fire and rescue on board the ships. So I got that sort of competency as well. And then while I was serving down in Nowra, I was also a volunteer firefighter with the Rural Fire Service. I joined the Rural Fire Service and did 6 years down there. And then moved back to Western Australia at the end of my enlistment and rejoined the Fire and Rescue Service in WA in Geraldton, where I did a further 6 years there. And then we moved back over to New South Wales, and I've been a volunteer here since 2017. And in my current role, I'm Senior Deputy Captain of Gloucester Brigade. So I'm basically 2IC of the brigade.
Good on you, mate.
Yeah, so, yeah, and of course over here with the Rural Fire Service, again, we do structural fires, we do not so much the road rescue, but we assist at motor vehicle accidents, casualty handling, minor hazmat cleanup and stuff like that, and the firefighting side of things. But yeah, predominantly bush firefighting is our bread and butter.
Yeah, mate. Yesterday we were doing a comms check and Jace couldn't be on. You're actually out fighting fires around Gloucester, mate. Tell us a bit about that and some sad news that we've just lost a rural firefighter today, Brad, you were saying.
Yeah.
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 Where
so,
were the fires around Gloucester, mate? Or was it like they threatened Gloucester, did they?
Yeah. So, I'm going to try to wind back the clock. Would have been about 8 weeks ago, I think, 8, 9, almost 10 weeks ago. We had a local landowner. He decided they were going to put in a hazard reduction burn on the property. And, well, cut a long story short, it kind of got out of his property and it was burning right up on the top of the ranger. So, we couldn't get to it. So for about 3 weeks or so, it was basically just burning along the top of the range, and we were just watching it. And every time it would sneak out of the trees and come down lower into the flats, we would throw a fire truck or two at it and just kind of snuff it out. But it would always disappear back up into the range again. So this went on for weeks. Anyway, about 4 weeks ago, Sunday afternoon, the plan was it had reached the end of the range, and the plan was we're going to get a dozer in there and put a dozer line around it and box it in. They all had it boxed in, and a gale force gust picked up the fire off the top of the ridge, dumped it across the road straight into the face of a house, and it was on. And, and it basically swept around the end of the range, down Buckets Road, heading for Gloucester, and we managed to pull it up about 2 k's out of town.
Wow!
And then of course on this last Thursday night just gone, we got called out again, and the same fire had basically we had a tree. The tree was been burning up through the middle of it for 4 weeks undetected, and then the tree decided it was going to fall over into unburnt territory. So we all were out there Thursday night trying to box it all back in and contain it, which we pretty much just about had done by 1:30 Friday morning. And we all come home, went back out Saturday morning first thing, and everything was looking good. And then about lunchtime yesterday morning, the wind picked it up and it took off. And at one point there, we had 10-metre flame heights burning through already burnt territory. That's the sort of conditions that we're dealing with this year. But between yesterday and today, we've managed to box it back in again. So we're kind of hoping that we've put it to bed this time. And yeah, but they're just not dying. They're not dying at all.
Yeah. What's are we doing enough hazard reduction burning, do you think? Or there's obviously we can't burn everything off, but I know there's Victoria. Dustin got a lot of criticism for not enough burning off, especially in national parks and that. And Victoria copped a lot of flack after the Black Summer thing, saying you weren't doing enough hazard reduction burning. Thoughts on that?
We managed to do a hell of a lot this year between parks and Rural Fire Service. But the short answer is I'd say no, we're not doing enough. But the conditions have got to be right to be able to do it without creating more problems. Yeah. And then, of course, you've got all the naysayers who they're pretty quick to jump on the bandwagon and say, oh, we need more hazard reduction burning. But as soon as you go and put a burn in and the smoke comes in, they don't want to know about it. So it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. But
yeah, I know. It's bloody. Justin, back onto you, mate, with Victoria.
Yeah, the government has spent a fair bit of money in and investing in the fireys that they're called DEWELP now, I think, Department of Land, Water and Planning or something similar. They've invested a heap of money and put a heap of crew on to do some back burning. Like Jason said, we do have some issues with certain groups of people, most of them being greenies, don't tend to like the burning in the bush.
No.
And it's also the other problem we have too is it's also very seasonal. There's a small window of opportunity when you can actually burn. Obviously, lead into the hotter months, it's not a great idea, but prior to winter, as it starts to cool down a bit, you've got a window of opportunity there, and then a little bit of window of opportunity during spring, I guess. But it's just the state's so big, you can't get it all done. It's physically impossible.
No, the country's too big. Yeah.
And I think that's where the Indigenous people did it well. They managed the land for so many years, and they knew how to burn and where to keep it under control. And I know down in here in Victoria, they've employed quite a few Indigenous elders and so on that know the land and have been teaching the department fireys where to burn and how to burn and where they need to do it. So
I was going to say exactly the same thing, Justin. It's amazing when you see up in the Northern Territory, especially in the dry season, where you look on the horizon in any direction and there's smoke plumes coming up, and they're Indigenous burns. They're low temperature, cause very little damage to the environment. In actual fact, they aid the environment, and they knew that. They've done that for centuries and thousands of years, and they knew that. And the trouble is, we've got a lot of, as Jason said, we've got a lot of Greens groups that are there, and they're, oh no, you can't do that. That'll add too much smoke into the atmosphere, and medical this and medical that. You've only got to look at Sydney in the last 3 or 4 weeks. They had some burning happening down there, and at one stage there, you couldn't see the bridge from the Opera House nearly. So. And as you said, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. And, then it does get away from you and it takes out properties, and it's just a disaster.
Yeah. People only need to see what happened at Malakuta and the Black Summer holiday, the Black Summer fires and all that type of stuff. Hey, 3 of the big ones, Brad, Jace, Justin, you might have been a bit young for this one, but 3 of the big ones that I remember, and I was actually involved in these. They called the army out to fight these ones down in Victoria and South Australia. 16th of February, 1983. I was actually humping bloody knapsack sprayers and the big fire rakes and all that up near Buffalo there in Victoria. The Ash Wednesday fires, 75 deaths, 47 in Victoria, 28 in South Australia. 3,700 homes lost during that, and they had a lot of over 2,500 injuries as a result of that. And then, Justin, the one that you fought in there in Victoria again was the Black Saturday fires, 7th to the 14th of 7th of Feb to the 14th of March 2009, 173 deaths. That was horrific. I still remember seeing that on the news, and just some of those little country towns in Victoria just decimated, mate. 414 injuries, 3,500 buildings destroyed, over 1 million acres, and then the one that's all still fresh in our minds. And if anyone is against hazard reduction burning and that, they got short memories, because this happened 2020, and that was the Black Summer fires. 34 direct deaths, and they reckon 445 indirect deaths from smoke inhalation, old people and that type of stuff. 9,352 buildings destroyed, and over 3,500 homes were part of that. Just those fires, the Black Summer fires, were horrific. And Justin and Jason, Brad, were you involved in that? I know you two on the bottom of the screen there were involved in those directly. Brad, were you fighting those at all?
It was right across almost the entire eastern seaboard of Australia was alight, and it was. I remember telling my captain. I was the deputy captain at the time, and I remember telling my captain back in June of 2019 that it was my intention to retire by Christmas time. Anyway, I was listening to reports, and at the time they were tolling our station, was so taking offline basically through lack of manpower, because they wouldn't put overtime in to staff the station. And it was generally only because of one shortage that it was happening. And I said, well, I can be available, and I can do that, and I can at least keep our station online. I'll go through, because I think it's going to be a bad year this year. Well, that was the most prophetic statement that was ever made, the most underrated statement. And I ended up, I went on another 2 years after that. But, I think we all remember that. And the other thing too, don't forget, Buck, either, is the Canberra bushfires as well, that took out all of those suburbs in Canberra.
Yeah, I forgot about them,
and a massive section of Kosciuszko National Park.
Yeah. So, we are affected by bushfires, and I think here in Australia we do it pretty well. I really do. I think we manage bushfires very well. We've got good fire services, we've got good equipment, we've got good training. Can it be better? Absolutely, it can be. Yeah, you're right. It can be better. It can always be better, but I think we do it pretty darn well. I really do.
And Black Summer, Jace, you were in the guts of it there, mate. We saw, as soon as we got south of Sydney on our trip at the start of this year, we just saw the scars and the results of that fire all the way down the southern coast of New South Wales. And Justin, when we got punched over into Victoria to Genoa, and there's a picture of the Genoa Bridge coming up in the slideshow soon, all through East Gippsland and Gippsland in Victoria. I just said to Roz, this whole southeast part of Australia just burned. It was just bullshit to see, like, south of Sydney, and we're down in Victoria and still seeing the results of that bloody fire. And you're in the thick of it, Jace.
Yeah, we started off pretty early in the season, actually. We were all, I won't say we were all done and dusted by Christmas, because we were far from done and dusted by Christmas, but our big one basically went through just prior to Christmas. But at the height of it, we had a fire essentially from Nowandock, which is about 50 k's this side of 80 k's this side of Tamworth. And that fire was basically continuous from there all the way through to the coast.
Yeah.
Right through. At one point there, Gloucester was. We were getting ready to evacuate Gloucester because we were thinking if it's going to hook right and go south, nothing was going to stop it. But fortunately, it didn't. It just kept going towards the coast. But yeah, and it ripped through around Taree there. We were in Taree the first night when it crossed the highway there, and I've never seen fire conditions like that. That was just, it was hell on earth. And yeah, it was just, we did 20 hours on the ground that day and into the next day. And we were down at Old Bar when it ran into Wallaby Point, and impacted all the housing in Wallaby Point. And it seems reminiscent of Malakuta. All the residents of Old Bar, they were all down at the surf club. And when it made a run into Old Bar, they all were basically in the ocean, trying to shelter. Yeah.
That bloody Malakuta, that was, as I said, apocalypse. That made it big overseas. And that, just before I forget to mention it, what about the Maui bushfires this year in Hawaii?
Oh,
did you see the result of that Maui bushfire? That was horrific.
Did you see the tweet that reckons it was caused by US military lasers?
Well, I did read that. Now they reckon Oprah Winfrey started them.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that one.
Freaking hell. But they
Jimmy Hoffa's reported to be involved in that too.
Say again?
Jimmy Hoffa is reportedly involved in that too.
Oh, he's made a comeback.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous. But that was unbelievable. Tragic. Justin, you were out in the 2009 Black Saturday fires and also the Black Summer fires, mate.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I knocked off work the morning of that Saturday, and I remember coming home from work after my last night shift and standing on the back deck at home, and the northerly was blowing an absolute gale early on in the morning, and I thought this is possibly going to live up to the expectation of what they've been expecting. Back then, Andrea is a volunteer with the CFA, and she went out on one of the trucks, so she worked through Black Saturday as well. And she ended up being awarded the National Emergency Medal along with myself, which is something we don't really talk about, as in it was nice to be awarded it, but it's not something we generally bring up. But yeah, Andrea was awarded one of those also. So I was back and forth from Whittlesea and King Lake area, Flowerdale. I think I was gone for days on end, starting early in the morning and some nights not getting home till 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock at night. And it was amazing to see how the fire behaved. The fire was so indiscriminate. You'd be driving along and there's this houses flattened, and then for no reason there's a house standing.
Yeah, I know.
And then there's nothing. Everything's just demolished again. Yeah. And it was just so incredible. So hard to fathom. The loss of life was obviously huge. We were involved with searching houses after the fire passed through, looking for any survivors or locating deceased, unfortunately. But the wildlife was probably one of the biggest things I remember. And I mentioned it to you last night when we did our test. The army came in and there was kangaroos piled up as high as a single-story house that they had to burn. You know, we lost a lot of human lives, but I hate to think about the number of wildlife we lost, both in 2009 and also 2019. It was massive.
That was like
I've got a video. I've got a video to show soon. It's sad. It's very, very sad. Tony Purdy, with his boys, the army went down to Kangaroo Island, and Tony said, "Buck, that the boys doing weeks on end picking up burnt koalas and kangaroos and all that." He said it took a toll on the boys. He said they were very upset at the end of that. It was just bullshit, you know. Like we all love animals and that.
The 2019 fires, the 2019 fires that burned through the mid coast here took out 2/3 of our koala population. Just absolutely decimated them.
Poor little things. That made it big over in America. The Black Summer fires. It was all around the world. Steve W. probably heard about it in England. It was apocalyptic. It really was. Hey, I might just in that we'll just break the chat up with a couple of videos, fellas.
Yeah.
I'll get the sad one out of the way. This one breaks my heart. It really does. You've probably all seen it. This just shows what happens to the wildlife in the bushfires. It's bloody sad. So I'll just see if I can get this bloody working here. I've got to pick the right one. Can you all see that? This is sad, guys.
Can you move back?
That lady's a bloody legend.
Just
Oh, I remember seeing this one. Yeah.
My car.
Listen, poor little thing.
You want to put him in the blanket and bring him out of the hot stuff?
Just on that, if I can say something, if you see an injured koala like that, don't actually don't actually pour the bottle of water down their throat. You'll actually do more harm to them. It's best to put the water in a hat or in your hand and let them just lap at it.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Poor bloody thing. I'll get back. I'll see if I can get rid of this one. Removed from stage. Yeah, that's hard to watch, that one, isn't it? The poor bloody thing. I heard that koala had to be euthanized. If you had a 22 in the boot of your car, you probably would have put one in his head to put him out of his misery. The poor thing. He was in. You don't want to see any animals suffer like that. That was bloody. They reckon we lost over 1 billion koalas and kangaroos and marsupials, and it could have been, counting snakes and all that type of stuff, could have been up to 3 billion animals in that Black Summer fires. So it's just horrific.
On a positive note, Andrew and I were in Mallacoota not long ago, and we saw plenty of kangaroos coming back and koalas back in the foreshore caravan park there.
Oh,
yeah, good stuff. Yeah,
fingers crossed.
Some of them survived, and hopefully they can breed again and get the numbers back up. That's all. That's what we bloody hope for. I'm pretty sure the Buckaroonie community donated to one of those koala hospitals down there in New South Wales from memory. I can't remember how much we gave, but there was one of those koala, the koala hospitals that were dealing with little fellas like that, and I'm sure we gave $1,000 or something. It was too long ago to remember now, but.
That 1920 fire season, I don't know if you're aware or not, but the federal government actually fired up a scheme where the volunteers could be compensated for their time that they gave. Yeah. So it was a heap of us that went through the process and put the paperwork in, and I ended up with a payment out of it of about, I don't know, $700 or $800 or whatever it was. I took it down to the Port Macquarie Koala Hospital and just handed it straight over to them. And
good on you, mate. Well done. I'd like to see guys like you, Jace, that bloody have to leave your work. Some of the guys probably leave work, don't get paid, or got their own businesses. No. And when they leave their own business, they're not earning any money. But they do that. They give up their time. They go out, join the Rural Fire Service, and bloody.
I can tell you, Luke wasn't happy.
When you're working for Lukey.
Yeah, that was during the 1920 season. He wasn't happy.
Oh, you were with Drifter then, mate.
Yeah, me and Big Craig. We'd be out every 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's just, what do you do, mate? Like, if I had blokes working for me that were part of the Rural Fire Service, I'd give them all the support that I could. And it's a shame that you can't get paid in some way when you do get called out through federal funds or something like that. Because you do an absolutely fantastic job. There we go. Craig Tompkinson, evening all. I spent 40 years at our local Queensland Bushfire Brigade. Well, the trouble in our areas, we had a great run forestry that did control burns. Now that's now run by National Parks, and they do SFA control. There you go. Yeah. That's what I was talking about before. I said, can we do more? And I know that the national parks get a lot of criticism that they don't do enough bloody controlled burn-offs, and that's why some of these fires, especially in Victoria, Justin. National Parks Victoria got a lot of criticism after the Black Summer fires on the news. I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, and again, that's a lot of the greenies and stuff don't like national parks being burnt. So,
well, they shouldn't like billions of kangaroos and koalas getting burnt to death either, mate. You know, like
there's no rationalising with them, unfortunately.
Yeah. Anyway,
Just have a look at Anthony Wicks's comment there, Buck. About
I just saw that, Brad. Thanks for pointing that out. Anthony Wicks, the company I work for, manufactured 500 koala drinker systems for wires after the fires and drought. Good stuff, mate.
Yeah,
isn't that good to see?
Awesome.
Absolutely fantastic. Hey, Jace, we all know that all of us, being a firefighter can be a dangerous job. And your hat that you've got on, Brad, Fire Department New York, got 343 on there. The only reason I remember that number is that's the ECN number for an infantry rifleman in the Army was ECN 343. If you ever watch Kaz's channel, he's always going on about 343, which is the employment code for a rifleman. 343 firefighters lost in the Twin Towers. And as I said, when everyone else is running away, you guys are running towards the danger. And that's just part of the job, isn't it? You know, it's like coppers and bloody all that type of stuff. But you're in a dangerous job. And your job is sometimes, and we know that firefighters do lose their lives. And Rural Fire Service guy lost his life just today, or today was it, Brad? He apparently had a heart attack out fighting the bushfires and that, which is bloody, you know, a volunteer. He's gone out to do, you know, to bloody. I can't think of a better way to do something for your country than join the Rural Fire Service. I think it's a fantastic thing, Jace. And mate, I'd like thank you for what you do, mate, as a volunteer. Justin, you know, you get paid, and Brad, you got paid for doing what you did. Jace goes out and does it because he wants to do it. And it's just absolutely fantastic that there's volunteers out there, volunteers that go and put their lives in danger. And I've got another video here. You've probably all seen it. I'm going to put another one up. And this just shows what fireys go through, especially the rural guys. Justin and Brad, you've probably been through some hairy moments yourself at jobs. You can probably sit down and bloody tell a heap of stories about close calls, buildings coming down on you, and all that type of stuff. Especially for the urban firefighters, I guess that's a big danger. Justin, he's been in a building and have it come down on you. Like
I've had a building collapse on me.
Yeah, probably. Did it hurt?
Hey. I copped a buddy roofing tile, got me right above me breathing apparatus cylinder and my top of my neck. I made the mistake of ducking when the building started coming down. I ducked my head and opened up the gap between the back hill, and it got me. Yeah, and it's the first building and the only building I've ever actually crawled out of and collapsed on the front lawn of the house and just kind of lay there for a bit going, what the hell?
Nicky just said it fell into a waterbed.
Hey?
And Nicky just made the comment and fell into a waterbed.
Oh, yeah, that was a classic, that was.
So you're self-extinguished.
Hey? Yeah, there was two of us inside a burning house. We had a bit of a fire seated in the cupboard in the bedroom, and both of us were trying to basically pull this cupboard apart to get to it. And the mirror come off the front of it, and we both fell backwards onto the waterbed, and the mirror went through the waterbed, and suddenly we landed in this puddle of water.
Oh dear!
Bloody hell! Righto.
Well,
check this one out, guys. This is a bloody absolute classic. This shows you how us Puckaroonie can get at times. Now I've forgotten what I was doing. Present, share me screen. I've got to talk myself through. I forget what I'm doing. Here we go. You've probably seen this one.
Yeah, these boys.
Returning back to Lot 1 Mega. What 38 coming down?
She gets hairy in a minute. What's this?
Jasper. Jasper, put the blanket up.
Keep going, mate. Yeah, that bloody stop there. Remove from Slade. Oh. Hang on, I'll get rid of this. Stop screen. There we go. I'll tell you what, you've been in through anything like that, Jace. That was ass pucker and stuff there. Oh, Jasper at the front. Oh, Jasper, put the blanket up, mate. Jasper's just sitting there like a star bottle of piss. I would have been clipping him and said, put the bloody blanket up. So
I had one too. I had one about 3 months ago.
One like that.
Similar. Yeah, we were at a grass fire, and it was the grass was about 8 feet tall, and it was ripping through the grass, and I was trying to back the truck up. We had firefighters all over the ground, so you can't just throw it in reverse and go backwards like a bullet a gator. You start running people over. So I'm trying to look out for my crew and other crews around me while trying to get the truck out of there. And at one point there, I had flame coming around the windscreen, licking into the cab, and I was pulling on sprays and overhead protection and all sorts of stuff. And yeah, she got a bit hairy.
I saw they actually lost some fire trucks there. The bloody tyres all burnt off and that.
Yeah.
It must have been where that was. Was that down near Malakuta somewhere, Justin, that one? Or was that in New South Wales there?
Oh, that was a few years ago in New South, I think.
That was that one there was 2019 at Narragansett, just east of Nara.
But that was part of the Black Summer
Yes.
fires. So I remember seeing that one on the news.
That truck ended up burning to the ground, and all the fireys self-evacuated in breathing apparatus. So it was
Say that last bit about the breathing apparatus. What happened there?
They basically had to evacuate the truck, so that all those fireys in that truck had to evacuate the truck. That was one truck of about, I think they had 3 with them. And that particular truck actually completely burnt to the ground. The other 2 managed to get out scorched, but they managed to drive out. But all the fireys in that truck, they essentially had to self-evacuate on foot in breathing apparatus.
Jeez.
So, yeah.
You see how quickly, like at the start, you thought, oh, it's not too bad. And then it just came through, didn't it? Just the wind must have just picked up at the wrong time. And that was starting to get desperation stage. But what do you do, mate? You just got to keep going. You can't stop.
Yeah.
But can you go back to that picture that you showed of Jason's truck there earlier, mate?
Yeah, I'm going to bring that up now. Righto. We're all there. You can see that. We'll go through the slideshow now. That's a photo there of a house that's probably got no hope in hell of surviving that one by the looks of that. That probably in America somewhere, is it? I'd say that one.
Yeah, I'd say so.
That one there, as you were saying yesterday, Brad, undefendable. That you just have to let that burn, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
I was going to remember yesterday I said I'll get one of you to explain why we all know that fire goes quicker uphill than it does downhill. Can someone explain why? Well, when I go and grab a new beer, can someone there explain why fire goes faster uphill than it does downhill?
Yeah, so basically what happens is for every 10 degrees of inclination on the land, the rate of fire spread will double. So don't confuse 10% grade with 10 degrees. 10 degrees is a reasonably steep slope in itself, but what happens is it tends to pull its own air in, and a fire will do that anyway, but it'll preheat fuel as it's going up the slope. So it tends to, if it is in any way a bit moist, it will certainly dry it out very quickly. But I would say that with fire conditions like that, everything would be fairly dry anyway, but it tends to preheat everything as it runs up the hill. So for every 10 degrees of upslope, it will double the rate of fire spread, and the converse is true as well. It'll slow down going downhill for exactly the same reason, because it doesn't tend to have that preheating effect.
Fire likes to climb. Well, there we go. Speaking of climbing, I've got a funny clip to show you a bit later on. Another pretty, kangaroo bouncing past. Poor buggers. They must get so scared, during bushfires and that. It's got to be a horrible feeling when you don't evacuate, or the fire comes in and you've got nowhere to go when you're boxed in. It's got to be. I couldn't think of a scarier. I'd take a cyclone over a bloody bushfire any day. Let me tell you. There you go, guys. I said to Justin yesterday, I said, "What bridge is that, Justin?" He said, "That's Genoa." And it is. When we were on our trip at the start of the year, we just punched over the New South Wales border from Eden, short trip, and a little town called Genoa. And we actually did a couple of nights free camping there at the Genoa. It's a good little camp spot there too. And that's the old pedestrian bridge that leads from the camp over. The other side there is the old Genoa pub, which is a bit run down now. And a lot of buildings were lost around Genoa. We spoke to a local lady, and she said, "I lost 3 buildings alone on my farm during that." And that's the old pedestrian bridge that's been there for 100 years. It burnt down and collapsed, and they've got a brand new pedestrian bridge there now. So, but you could just, everywhere we went on that trip in southern New South Wales and Victoria, we just saw the results of those black summer fires. And that's at Malakuta, the HMAS Choules that came in. The Navy had to come in and evacuate everyone from Malakuta. And all the campers along the Malakuta, you've been there, Justin, the Malakuta caravan park, which is huge along the foreshore. And everyone was told, if you've got a caravan or a camper trailer, get your gas bottles and throw them in the ocean. And everyone was just, anything that could burn, they were trying to put it in the ocean. And people were actually jumping in the ocean and huddled under the piers and that. That's how close the fire got. It was just incredible to see.
Yeah, that's right. And they were told, just leave your vans and everything there, because as you know, there's one road in and there's one road out.
Yeah.
And it's a long road. It's a long road out.
And it's thickly scrubbed there, eh? There's a lot of bush around Malakuta, and you can see why the fires were so bad. There's some legends there. Some of the local Rural Fire Service, like Jace up there in New South Wales. Bloody well done to all those. There's the photo, Brad, that you wanted me to bring up, mate.
Yeah, so look, probably Jason can elaborate on this as well. But if you have a look around the very, very top of where the roof meets the side of the body, you can see some piping there and some jets, and that's what they call the CPS, or the cabin protection system. So there's an area in reserve in the tank in the back of the truck, water tank, that is held in reserve, and you cannot impinge upon that water reserve because the pickup for the normal pump just won't reach it. So what that does is that can be activated from the cab. You'll see on the top of the driver's window there, you'll see a thin slither of silver. That's the roll down heat protection blanket that can be rolled down so that the guys don't have to use that blanket situation. But those CPS are very handy. Jace, if you want to elaborate on that, mate, on your truck. Yeah,
so this truck here is what we call in New South Wales a Category 1 heavy tanker. This is basically a eucalypt truck, what we call a eucalypt truck. There's 2 different types. There's a grassland truck and a eucalypt truck. The main difference is the way the back's sorted. So with a grassland truck, you can fight fire off the back of the truck and you can essentially get right around it. This is more a eucalypt truck for this side of the country, this side of the state. So this one here, we only got this back in May. So it's one of the newest trucks in New South Wales at the moment with the Rural Fire Service fleet. Definitely the newest truck on the mid-coast. With that crew protection system, as Brad just pointed out, you got the halo system around the roof that protects all your transparencies in the cab and your cab. There's also a spray over the pump at the rear of the truck. So basically, you don't lose the pump, because obviously, if you lose the pump, you haven't got your halo, you haven't got your protection system. So there's a spray over that as well. And then there's also wheel sprays. So each of the wheels, you can just see it above the back wheel there, where the red and yellow chevrons are. There's a wheel spray on each wheel. So that basically douses the wheels in water as well. Plus, we've also got bull bar sprays for that shoot out 45 degrees from the bull bar into a forward direction for doing grass fire attacks. But so the old system that they used to have, where it was literally a sprinkler sort of thing sitting on the top of the truck, and if the wind blew the right direction, the cab never got water on it at all. They've done away with that, and they've gone with this halo system, and that literally deluges the important areas of the truck. As long as the pump's operating and the soft squishy bits are all right inside the cab, everything else can burn essentially. So it's enough to basically protect you while the main fire front's going through it. And then of course, once the fire front's gone through, you can then climb out of the truck, extinguish anything that might be burning on the truck, and then evacuate if the truck is able to. If not, you go out on foot, or you wait for someone to come in and get you. But
well, there you go. I never knew that. I thought you just had a water truck and you got out with a hose. I didn't realise it had all that protection there, which is fantastic idea. Where are all the modules in that made? Are they all Aussie made? All these the modules that they put onto the truck, mate?
Yep, they sure are. They're all. It's all the whole truck. Well, the truck itself, the cab chassis is basically straight from Isuzu. Yeah, and then everything, all the fit out and everything is done up in Sydney.
Wow.
So and they're forever refining it and coming up with new ideas and different ways of doing things. If there's a silver lining to all these big fires that we have, it's that policies, procedures, equipment gets updated. It tends to get a bit more of a hurry up when there's big campaign fires. But this appliance carries 3,500 litres of water. The final the last 400 litres in the tank, we can't touch for firefighting. That's purely there for the protection system, and same as the fuel tank. The fuel tank on the truck obviously fuels the truck as well as the pump on the back.
Yeah.
But the tank will cut out at a quarter. So when you get down to a quarter of a tank of fuel, you won't be able to operate the pump. So they leave a quarter of a tank of fuel in the truck for you to be able to get out.
Yeah, righto.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, they're pretty advanced in that. So who said? Someone, Andrew Johnson said, has it got a PTO pump?
No. It's got a Hatch diesel pump on the back. Hatch diesel, self-contained diesel engine. It's a 2-cylinder engine, and it's coupled to a centrifugal pump.
Yeah, righto.
We can pump and roll. So during the during the fires we had a couple of weeks ago here, where they were affecting Gloucester, we had this truck chasing down fast-running grass fires. I had the front spray bars going on the bull bar, and on the bull bar in the middle there, you can kind of see a bit of gear there. That's a monitor, so it's like a high volume, high capacity water jet. And we operate that from inside the cab with a joystick. So when we were chasing down the grass fires, we had the front sprays going. We had a bloke on the joystick operating that, and I was driving the truck. Initially, I was driving the whole lot, but I was pulling levers and changing gear. It was nuts.
Yeah.
So we handed over duties to one of the other boys in the cab. But no, she's a six-speed auto, and she goes like the clappers.
So that's your actual truck there, the Gloucester truck.
Yeah,
Justin's probably sitting there thinking, that's got nothing on our truck.
That's the other
high tech now, fire trucks, aren't they?
Hey?
They're pretty high, like the urban fire trucks are pretty high tech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the other girl in my life.
Hey, Buck, if I could just go back a step, Mr. Bullet actually asked whether there were any medals and that for the bushfires and whatnot, and I think Justin touched on it earlier. So basically, everyone that was involved in that got the National Emergency Medal, and that's what it looks like.
Thanks, Mr. Bullet. There you go.
That was minted, I think, in 2004. So any subsequent campaigns that you be in, you'll get a like a clasp to go on the medal. So the big New South Wales 1920 bushfires. There might be the floods. There's about 5 or 6 campaigns that this has actually been awarded to currently, but that's it there. So everyone that was involved in that got the National Emergency Medal. So that's it.
That you's all got, Jace. Justin, you's got it as well.
Yep.
Yeah, I got mine in 2000. I got mine after the 2009, and after 2019, I could have got a second class, but I didn't actually apply for it. I figured I've already got one. I've already got one of them that'll do me.
I'll tell you now, anyone who's gone out and fought against, the 2009 fires and the Black Summer fires, bloody deserve it. And thanks for asking that question, Mr. Bullet. And I'm glad. So all the rural firefighters, you've all got one, Jace?
Yeah, we all got one. And in New South Wales, we were also awarded a Premier citation from old Gladys.
Good on you. And you bloody deserve it too. I'll tell you now, mate, the whole of Australia was so proud of the fireys after all the events, but especially the Black Summer fires. I'll tell you what, the whole of Australia was bloody just couldn't believe what you were doing. It was absolutely fantastic.
I find it hard I find it hard myself to accept thanks, and it's something that it's just something I do. I don't do it for the thanks or the accolades or all that sort of stuff, but I can tell you, when you're rolling off the fire ground after being there for 20 hours and you've had some good saves, and I'm going to say you lose one house and you might save 6, you're always going to feel worse for wear because you've lost that one house. But and then for someone to come up and actually thank you, it does mean the world to you. But I like.
Hey, Jason, before I ask you about how to get in it, Justin and Brad, is there a way you can become a volunteer firefighter at an urban station and go in somewhere and say, I'm available, I'll be on call, and you go through some sort of course? And that is there some sort of system like that for urban fireys?
We've got Country Fire Authority volunteers here in Victoria, and then you've got Fire Rescue Victoria, who I work for, and Fire Rescue Victoria's professional firefighters only. And then you've got the Country Fire Authority. But the CFA do have some stations in the outer metro area. So there's still sort of, volunteering in a metro urban area.
Yeah, right.
Not just country areas. So they still attend house fires and so on. So that's an avenue for them, for people to join the CFA and still have similar experiences to what we do. But Fire Rescue Victoria is solely just paid professional firefighters.
How does one apply to go and see your local town and apply to volunteer to be a rural firefighter?
Yeah, for sure. New South Wales Rural Fire Service, you just basically rock up to your local fire station, find out when they're conducting their training night or a meeting night, some stations do train, like we do a training night and a meeting night, so we're down there 2 nights through the month.
Yeah.
But yeah, just rock up to your local fire station. If you're in a small enough town, you know who's in the local brigade anyway. And yeah, just rock up to the station and all the paperwork. It's all done. A lot of it's done electronically these days, but they'll get you started on the process of going through and getting it done. Yeah.
I can't think
and
of
just on the urban side of things, in Western Australia, they do have the volunteer fire and rescue service. So you can volunteer to be basically an urban firefighter in Western Australia.
Especially probably in those, I know out in West Queensland, in those little country towns that don't have permanent fireys, you probably, I know out in Surat when I was out there, you had Dad and a local AMBO and everyone kind of doubled up as the fiery as well because we didn't have permanent fireys back in those days. And there's probably a lot of little towns that, well, Justin, Brad, is there small towns that do just survive on having volunteers? I'm sure tiny little towns out in Western New South Wales, do they have permanent firefighters?
No. Very few. Within Fire Rescue New South Wales, there's 2 different categories of firefighters. There's a permanent firefighter like what Justin is in Victoria, and then there's a retained firefighter, which is what I was. So I would still train. I don't get anywhere near the level of training that the permanent guys get, but over the years you pick all of that up anyway. But initially you don't. But I still got paid for what I did. But there's only a couple of different ways that you can tell a permo from a retained in New South Wales, and that's their rank insignia. And if you have a look at their helmet, you'll see on the back of my helmet there, you can see that red stripe running around the back.
Yeah.
Okay, and the rank there, a DC, that means I was a deputy captain, right? And my name is in black on this one, but it can be red. So their helmets are black striped, and their rank insignia is silver, like the police, and not red on their shoulder. So the red stripe down the middle of the helmet denotes either a leading firefighter or a deputy captain. So you can always tell a permanent firefighter from a retained firefighter. But look, at the end of the day, people ring 000 because they need someone there, and they're really not concerned that much as to whether they get a permanent firefighter or a retained firefighter. As long as someone shows up in a BRT, they're really not that concerned. Even with the RFS, there's a lot of country towns in New South Wales that only have RFS, and they do a fantastic job because they got to be everything to everybody.
Yeah,
it's that Aussie community spirit really coming through, and that's what that's why I think our fire services throughout at least New South Wales I can speak about are held in such high esteem because the people that do the job are there for the right reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. It's bloody. I was saying before, the Rural Fire Service or the SES. I can't think of 2 better things that if you want to volunteer your services. Speaking of the SES, the diddly dong from Serena, he's been waiting for about 8 weeks now to get into the SES. I don't know what's happened there, Kane. Now, here we go. We talked about this. The big Elvis helicopters. If I was the Prime Minister, I'd have a fleet of 24 of these, and I'd have them on bloody standby for any state that needed them, whether it be for bushfires, floods. You can put a big pod on the back of these things, carry stores and that to towns and that for when they get cut off during floods. There's just so many. You're saying, Brad, probably just the upkeep and everything of them. I'd love to see the federal government get some sort of federal thing together and have a fleet of these that can be used by wherever there's if there's bushfires in Queensland, get them up there and get it sorted out. I know a good helicopter mechanic. Jace, you could probably fix them too. The Gidgee Gorilla, he could fix them.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to see a big fleet of them, wouldn't it, for Australian emergencies, flood and fire.
Well, New South Wales RFS have got a 737. I think it's called the Mari Bashir, if I'm not mistaken, Jason. And it's
Yes.
it's a water bombing aircraft. And I mean, a 737, obviously a fairly big aeroplane, but they'll send that internationally as well. I think it's spent some time over in Canada in Slackens neck of the woods over the winter period here. But you know, there's also military aircraft. I think that they can put modules in. C-130s, I think the J model. I think I'm not sure exactly about that, but they can put firefighting modules in those where they can carry water. But it's the logistics of having those sort of aircraft, because with those aircraft you need to be able to refuel them. You need to be able to reservice them with retardant and water, and you know, it's a big job. It's a massive big job, and a big contingent that comes along with them as well.
Probably a bit too much for the states. I'd love to see a big federally bloody funded thing for those things. I'd love to see 24 of them, and they just go where there's floods in Victoria. They go down there and they support in some way. They're a bloody amazing helicopter, aren't they? There she is.
They are incredible.
They are.
I'll be under one of those when it's going.
Yeah.
Like you said, though, it's the unfortunately it's the upkeep of them. So it's cheaper for the Victorian government down here to lease them, rather than have them sitting at Essendon or wherever else they're located. Yeah. But we also have the water bomber planes from a company called Coulson, which is a Canadian company. They fly their planes over with their pilots, and we lease them off them, and lease their pilots off them for the fire season as well. So
we lost that C-130 down your way a year or two ago, didn't we? With all the guys on board,
the Americans, yeah.
Flew into a mountain, basically.
Yeah.
Come over here to help us in our bushfire season, and I think there was four crewmen, 4 Yanks. I love how we all stick together. The Yanks, the Canadians, I think the Kiwis, the Aussies. When a bushfire season and that, we always send firefighters over to California when she's kicking off. And Alberta had some massive bushfires this year up in Canada, and I think we sent Australian firefighters over to Alberta. I'm not sure what state they came from, but just as a token gesture there. So,
and Elvis is actually retired now too.
Elvis, he has he? The Elvis the chopper.
He's retired. They've all got different names.
Oh, right. So I thought Elvis was that type of helicopter, but Elvis was a specific helicopter.
That's an Ericsson Sky Crane, but they've all got their own different names, and they retired Elvis a few years ago now.
There's Georgia Peach. I can't think of any of the others. Yeah, no, Elvis is fat, dumb, and happy, sitting on the shitter.
He's literally left the building, unfortunately.
Yes.
There you go, Brad. Explain. What's this one here, mate?
Oh, that's just a photo I took with. That's my nephew on the right there. That's Tom. That's my brother's eldest boy, and we were on a job together. And I thought it was a great opportunity to catch a family photo, but in different uniforms. So
fantastic, mate.
Pretty proud of that, actually. Yeah, it was good.
It's good stuff. And we've got a little video, I think, of this job from memory. I'll see if I can get it up, mate. Present video file.
Even the coppers need heroes.
Well, Tom's favourite saying is we're hose fairies. That's what he calls us.
Oh, okay.
Can you all see that?
Yeah.
So that was a house here in East Maitland that actually got burnt out. Started, I believe, on the upper level. That's what they call a ladder platform. That's from Newcastle, 260 station. And so the story basically was that I was standing on the front lawn after the fire was exactly at that stage. We'd extinguished it, and all of a sudden a black dog appeared on the upper level of that building. And I was talking to my mate, and I said, "Holy shit, there's a bloody dog there!" And he's gone, "Where?" And I said, "Right there." So I got the duty commander on the radio, and I said, "Excuse me, sir," I said, there's a dog on the top veranda of the building." And he's gone, "Brad, there's nothing we can do about it now. He's gone, And I've gone, "No, sir, he's alive. He's wandering the top of the balcony." So anyway, they got onto the guys on the ladder platform and said, "Go over and pick him up." And that poor little pup, he or she, I don't know whether it was male or female, never was never so glad to see someone and jump into that basket, let me tell you. And they took him down and got him back to the owner, which you can see there. And they were very, very grateful. But it was nothing that we did. We still don't know how he got up there because the internal staircase was pretty well burnt out. So there's no way he could have survived on that upper level. So he must have somehow gotten from the bottom level up and then come to the balcony. And it was a rather good moment. It actually made the news in Sydney. It was one of those good news stories from no one got hurt there. There were no injuries there. And thankfully the dog made it. So they were, I'd imagine, very, very grateful to get him back. It's good.
Good stuff. Must be a good feeling. A good feeling. I rang Justin the other day. I said, you had a busy day. He was at work. And he said, we just went to a cut up a tree job. Did you? What happened there, mate?
We said you need to get an arborist. We can't get up there. I said short of squirting it down, which I've done before. The owner wasn't too keen about that. But,
I was going to say, hose on about 10 bar.
We have done that before. Depends on the owner and how much they love their cat, I think.
That's like Tackleberry at Police Academy. Can be cat over the green, blew it out with his gun. The fire, he's blowing it out with the fire hose.
My preference would probably be the 22, but let's not. There's probably some cat lovers out there.
Have you ever seen a cat skeleton in a tree?
Exactly right. That's what
they get up, they can get down.
We got caught to a bird in a tree one day.
Yeah, I've been to those.
Yeah. Actually, with that, its foot was caught in a sort of like a fork of a branch. So, but we couldn't get to it.
I've been to a chimney smoking, believe it or not. So yeah, it just gets more and more ridiculous. It's just
doesn't it?
Yeah.
We always had birds getting caught in the razor wire around the prison.
Oh,
and, doggies would always have to go try and rescue the bird, saying, we're up in the razor wire trying to get a bird out. Poor things used to get caught up in the razor wire. That house fire there, that's not looking real good, is it? One of the terrible things that you touched on it before, Justin, is going through a house and finding someone who's deceased in there. It's got to take its toll on you, mate. A lot of jobs have got, a lot of occupations have got terrible things with coppers and all that going to bloody, car accidents and all that. Well, you guys go to them as well, but going through a bloody house and finding deceased bodies that have burnt to death or died of smoke inhalation must be gutting, mate. Just
and a lot of the time the occupants of the houses don't. If we're there quick enough to knock the fire down, then they're quite often not burnt. It's the smoke inhalation that will kill them first. And even if you do pull someone out that's still got a pulse, a lot of the time their airways are severely burnt. And they're generally put into an induced coma on the scene by the ambulance, and then airlifted or rushed to the closest hospital, because with inside a structure, the temperatures they just reach phenomenal temperatures, and the second they take a breath, they're breathing in not only the horrible chemicals and toxins within the fire, it's just the heat, and it literally just burns their esophagus. And that's a telltale sign that when we drag someone out, you look around their lips, and if you can see black around their lips and they're not conscious, and even if they are conscious and they're complaining a bit of a sore throat, they've got airway burns, and that's a giveaway, is the black, the soot around the mouth. Sadly, it's not often the fire that, more than often, it's not the fire that kills them. It's the smoke and the heat renders them unconscious, and sadly, most of the time they meet their maker. So,
and we're going to talk about.
I won't tell you about that. We almost blew up.
Who used it?
Yeah, we were at a house fire in WA, and they found a cat laying in the passageway of the house that was on fire, and they picked it up and they brought it out to us, and I was in charge of the crew outside, and we had all the media there, and there was all these bystanders and the homeowner, and we thought, Christ, we got to do something. We got to look like we're trying to save this cat, or at least try to save it, or whatever. So anyway, I told the boys to go get the oxyviver off the truck, the oxygen, and so we got that, and we ended up fitting the mask over the cat, over its face. We cranked on the oxygen, and suddenly the old cat, she just expands. So we're like, holy shit, we're going to blow it up. So we shut the oxygen off, and the cat deflated again. And this went on about 3 or 4 times, and this cat's just expanding like a balloon. And it's like, it's gone. We'll put it in the garden.
I was hoping for a bloody happy ending there, Jake.
No, she was gone. Yeah.
blew its lungs up. Dear, oh dear. That shows what a bushfire can do. It doesn't leave much, does it, when it goes through? No. Dear, oh dear. Bloody horrific. They really are.
That bloke's
backburning. Yeah. Who wants to explain quickly backburning to us and why we do it?
All right, so backburning, there's a bit of a misnomer about hazard reduction and backburning. Yeah. They are 2 different things. Hazard reduction is basically the take away or try to reduce the fuel load before a fire actually starts. Backburning is a tool that we use to control a fire that has already started. So if it's in difficult terrain or we just cannot get to the actual fire itself to use the normal extinguishment means, like water or whatever, we'll fall back to a control line, and we'll basically burn back off that line into the face of the oncoming fire. So basically, when the 2 fires meet, they essentially snuff each other out.
As Brad said yesterday, you've got to have the right conditions to be able to do it.
You got to have the right conditions. It's no good putting a back burn in and then the thing goes all pear-shaped and you're suddenly making the fire 4 times bigger than what it probably should be. So you got to have the right conditions. It's got to be in the right sort of terrain. There's a whole heap of factors that goes into it, and there's a lot of forethought and planning goes into before it actually goes ahead. Yeah.
Well, you said you're a firefighter in the Navy, mate. I hope you're better than the Army guys. I told the other boys this yesterday. Not in the late 80s, we had car parks where we used to, but they were just grass. Anyway, the grass had got long and Townsville was drying out. So the fireys turned up to burn the car parks off. So burn hanging. Anyway, the wind changed and we get a thing. Get up to the car parks. Grab the fire extinguishers. Grab bloody anything. And we're running up there. By the time we got there, this brand new fire engine, she was burnt to the ground. The fireys parked her in the grass car park, and the wind changed, and the fire went and before they could get it out, she caught fire, and they lost the whole truck, mate. I shit you not. Brand new fire truck, and we got up there, and we just went, she's gone. And the old fireys are scratching their head, and we thought, oh, how embarrassing. Bloody Army fireys, and they burnt their own truck down. So obviously, for a fire, you need oxygen and heat. And without oxygen, that's where we're going to go into fire blankets soon. That's not right. I'm got to bring another one up. Talking about bloody house fires, that's what's up in your roof, guys. That's why bloody roofs go up and what have you. Who wants to talk about that, Justin or Brad? About the amount of shit you've got to carry. Justin, do you have a physical test at all that you've got to pass each year? Because I don't know, I'm coming from the Army where we had to pass physical training tests and that. I don't know if you do it in the Far East, but you've got to keep your fitness up, mate, because you're going to go to work in that stuff. You've got to be fit, mate.
Yeah, we don't have any actual requirements where we get tested annually, but it is the expectation that there is a gym on the fire station, so you will attend the gym and look after yourself.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the older you get, this body does start to fail you a little bit. So I used to run 10K a day. I can't anymore. My knees are buggered, but I still make an effort to get to the gym and do some weights or do some incline on the treadmill. Just to lift the heart rate and maintain my cardio, because you're spot on. Once you put that gear on, and you're essentially carrying another 20 kilos on your back, and and that's without carrying your tools and your thermal imaging camera and you know, summertime's probably the worst because that turnout gear that you see there it's essentially like putting a doona on a 35-degree day. So it's important that you maintain your a reasonable level of fitness, and we do have personal trainers in the job that are accessible anytime, and they can set up a program for you, etc. So there's certainly facilities there to encourage you to maintain your fitness.
Fire rescue New South Wales do now. They came in about 2 or 3 years ago that you must undergo yearly fitness testing, and anyone that doesn't gets an opportunity to come up to the standard. And I'm not sure what they'd do if you didn't. I think they'd pretty much be asking you to leave. I think it's a condition of employment now. It was agreed to in one of the pay rises that they got. The union agreed to it. And look, personally, I think it's a good thing because there's a lot of guys out there that are, you know, that are heart attacks waiting to happen, unfortunately. And as Justin just said, you know, carrying that sort of gear, the heat that builds up inside. I mean, I remember the 2015, I think it was, low pressure storm that hit the Hunter Valley area here. We were out in it, and we were, you know, certainly in our overturn, like our turnout gear, and there's a vapor barrier underneath the material, and none of us got wet at all. I mean, I couldn't believe it. We took our gear off at the end of it, and all of our undergear, like our black shirts and pants, were all dry as. So protection from steam burns and whatnot, but it's multitudes better than what we had even 22 years ago when I first joined. It was literally cotton over trousers. This stuff is all thermal barrier. It's all international standard. It's getting changed out every 2 or 3 years with a new standard. You do get very, very good equipment, and I would argue that it's not as dangerous as most people think. I mean, as long as you've got a head on your shoulders and you can understand what's actually happening around you, you've got the training, you've got the equipment, especially the BA. Nothing more important than that, because you know, as we talked about last night, one or two inhalations of smoke and you're done for. That's it. You're done. So
I was trying to Mr. Bullet put a good one up there about a pole. So yeah, there's a lot of shit you've got to carry. What's a breathing apparatus? Is it fairly easy to breathe in that? I'm thinking in corrections and that we used to use gas masks and that when we went into a unit of CS gas and that was used, and it's hard breathing in that shit. But these are a bit easier. It's got the oxygen's forced into you.
It's all positive pressure.
It's all demand. Yeah, it all works on demand. So if you take a breath, it'll provide you with oxygen. Or with air, sorry. But I mean, if you're claustrophobic, you're probably not going to like it so much.
No. So
you definitely won't. Yeah.
It's only just marginally different than actually inhaling a normal breath. From the air as we are now. The systems are so finely tuned that, and if you break the seal on your mask for whatever reason, the actual system will free flow air so that you don't absorb any gases or any smoke into the mask. So it'll actually positively pressurize your face. That's the other thing you see on the movies all the time, and you know, and you see them walking around with a clear face mask with nothing over here. You know, part of the system is that orinasal cup that fits over your mouth and exhalation valves in it that you can actually breathe the air out. And you know, the air goes up in front of your visor so you don't fog up and all those sorts of things. So, you know, Hollywood's got a lot of bullshit out there. And you know, there wouldn't be one occupation that Hollywood doesn't represent that misrepresents it very badly.
And if you're getting a bit hot too, and you need a bit more oxygen on ours, you can push the demand valve, which is at the front there, and that'll just give you free flowing air. You start using it. But.
I had a situation in Western Australia. We got called to the local TAFE. They had a formaldehyde spill in one of the labs, and we had to go in and basically clean it up as part of the hazmat. And
is that why you look so good? Is it, Jace?
And while I was in there, I had a mask failure. My harness actually failed on my mask, and my mask came away partially from my face. And because of that positive pressure system, I was still getting fresh airflow past my face, and I wasn't actually getting any of the fumes and nasties from the formaldehyde. So I was able to basically get out of the situation and get back out in the fresh air and get my mask fixed up. But yeah, so it's a good system.
Yeah, Chris, good point. Long gone are those days, mate.
You still see the cloth nappies around though.
Yeah.
Wrapped around you there. Wait, what's a good just on that? If someone's experiencing a lot of smoke and that at a bushfire, mate, just a wet nappy or a wet something wet around your face is the way to go if you're out in a bushfire and you don't have any breathing apparatus.
Full house fails, yeah, for sure. But like the best thing you can do is just get out of the, if you can, get out of the smoke. Yeah. I'm shocking for it. I probably have only put a mask on. I probably counted on one hand, and the amount of times I've worn a mask in a bushfire. I hate them personally. So yeah, I'm probably the worst person to ask about that because my lungs are my filters, and that's not the best way to be. Yeah.
Hey, just a bit of Brad, go.
Oh no, I was going to say I always carry 3 or 4 P2 masks in my helmet.
Yeah.
And I only just found them there now. I didn't even realise they were there. But if you go to a job, even though you might be working on the outside, you might be pump operator, you might be whatever. I'm talking maybe more so probably urban environments now. There's a lot of houses that were built before the mid-'80s that contain asbestos.
Yeah.
And you must stay out of that stuff. At least P2s will give you some respiration protection against that. We hand them out to cops and ambos that are in the area. Cops are really bad for not having this stuff. You know, that should be part of their PPE kit, and they don't have it. And they, at least in New South Wales, they're very poorly resourced in that way. And I always used to go around, hand them out, say, here, put that on, if they were in the hot zone, or not hot zone, the warm zone, I should say. But really important to guard your airway and to keep those particles out of your airway and out of your lungs, because we all know that it's not today that it might affect you. It might be 10, 15, 20 years down the track. And unfortunately, there's a lot of stupid stuff that I did when I was a young firey, just in the job that, you'd walk into a house that had been on fire and you wouldn't have BA on. I look back on that now and I just go, you idiot. Why? Why did you
just
do
use
that?
the safety squint.
Part of our procedures now are that we'll take a multi-gas detector in after the fire, because believe it or not, after the fire is probably the worst. It's probably the time when you've got the worst of the off-gassing. Hydrogen cyanide is probably one of the biggest culprits. So we'll take a multi-gas detector through and take hydrogen cyanide HCN levels, and once we reach a safe level, we can downgrade people to a P2 mask rather than a breathing apparatus. But hydrogen cyanide, unfortunately, it builds up within your bloodstream, and it restricts the ability for your blood to carry oxygen. So years gone by, blokes would attend a house fire and then go in blacking out, what they call blacking out, putting out the remnants of the fire. And they get back to the station and say, geez, I've got a bloody huge headache. And that was due to the fact that there was a hydrogen cyanide build up within their bloodstream, and that particular chemical was inhibiting the ability for the blood to carry oxygen. So we've tightened up on a lot of those procedures now. So not such good news for the days gone by.
All the other shit.
Yeah,
all the other shit you've got to worry about, mate. Like, it's not just the fire.
Yeah, it's all your furniture that burns. Like, Brad touched on it last night when we did our check, when we did our sound check and everything. Your materials now are all your fabrics, everything is just full of chemicals, and the off gassing is just horrific.
The fire's the least of your problems.
A lot of people don't think about that. It's all the stuff you're breathing in is probably the biggest danger. Hey, quickly, for everyone out there, we're trying to teach people about fire safety and that. Brad, question to you. Most common causes are house fires. And Justin, over to you. What should we have mandatory in our houses, mate? So over to you first, Brad. Some of the quick common causes that start house fires.
I would say, I don't know from a statistical perspective, but just from anecdotal things I've been to over the years, unattended candles are a major problem. Don't ever burn a candle unattended. It is dangerous. It will burn your house down, and you probably, if you're in it, you might die. So just don't do it. Just don't even light them. Secondly, probably electrical fires. You know, I've always had a process in my house of a night time. I turn all of my televisions and my electrical equipment off at the power point. People think I'm crazy. Okay, that's fine. I don't mind. But I always turn everything off because I've seen plenty of situations where an item is shorted out or there's been some sort of an issue and it's caught fire. So they would probably be the worst things. I mean, we're now getting into situations where we're seeing lithium battery fires, and that's something we can talk about later. But you know, those two things probably in the first instance. And so there's simple ways to do that. A, don't leave candles unattended. B, turn your electrical equipment off before you go to bed.
And electric blankets, you said yesterday, were another big one.
A mate of mine, a good mate of Bobby Ass's, worked with Bobby in forensics in Newcastle with the cops. I remember Pete Muscio said to me years ago, he said that before I even joined the Fireys, I said to him, I said, mate, what's one of the biggest causes of fires? And at that time, he must have had a spate of fires being caused by electric blankets. He said, I will not have them in my house. And I've never had them in my house either, based on that advice from Pete. And Pete was a really good guy. He's retired now, and he worked some of the worst crime scenes in this area. You know, he was a really good guy, and he's a great bloke, really good bloke. Yeah.
And you sent me one about electric scooters, and it was on the news the other night. A house burned down, someone charging their electric scooter, and the lithium battery caught fire. And boy, oh boy, don't those things go up, those new electric scooters. So might pay to try and charge them in the shed or outside somewhere, guys. You sent me a video, Brad, and I forgot to put it up there, but it was only recently on the news, like 2 days ago, somewhere in Queensland, a whole bloody apartment. Someone was on holidays and was charging their scooter up, and the whole apartment block went up from the bloody the lithium battery on the scooter.
Well, maybe everyone saw the fire the other day that was down in Sydney. It was a backpackers, and there was some guys, a security camera out in the hallway, and there was one guy that you saw sort of jumped out of the way, and his mate ran out of the building, and then all of a sudden, woofter, this room's exploded.
That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, he was charging a battery pack out of a bike for his mate, apparently. But the problem there was that the system, the automatic fire alarm did its job, set the fire alarm off, and there were knuckleheads in the building that heard the alarm, thought it was just a false alarm, rolled over and went back to sleep. You know, if that fire had happened at 1 o'clock in the morning rather than 9 o'clock in the morning, there would have been deaths. I would absolutely guarantee you there would have been deaths, because people are stupid. They need to wake up to themselves.
All this stuff, we're bad for leaving everything on charge and walking away and forgetting it. Geez, Pete Murtry, a pair of headphones catch fire while charging. Bloody hell. And on to that, Justin, what do we need in our house, mate? Some must-haves that we have in our house.
Definitely a fire blanket.
Yeah.
And that needs to be accessible. And when I say accessible, probably most importantly near the stove top.
In the kitchen,
in the kitchen, but you need to be able to. It needs to be accessible. There's no point having it stuck in a cupboard and trying to rummage through trying to get it in a timely manner. It needs to be accessible, even on the pantry door on the inside. If you don't want to be looking at it, just hang it up, because when you need to use it, you need to pull it down to pull it out.
Yep.
So hang it up is most important, and probably just a fire extinguisher, I guess, is important. Also,
a dry chemical
extinguisher.
Fire alarms, which both of mine are broken, and I'm guilty as I speak. this house doesn't have serviceable fire alarms. So I'm going to get my ass to Bunnings tomorrow and buy 2 brand new fire alarms because I replaced the batteries and they kept chirping and whatever. So I'm going to go and buy 2 brand new batteries. Yep. Speaking of which, I've got a quick one on how to use a fire blanket that Brad sent me. So I'm going to present that now, guys. Bear with me. There you go.
They're a lithium battery in them. They're 10 years. Throw them away afterwards. They're photoelectric, so they're the best type to have. The old ionisation ones, if you've got those in your house, get rid of them. Okay, these are $20.
Yeah.
They'll save your life. Seriously, they'll save your life.
Photoelectric 10 year from Bunnings. So there you go. That's where I'm going tomorrow, mate.
That's all they need to be.
Yeah.
Anything that's photoelectric is probably the best one to have now. The Institute of Fire Engineers have come out and said the ionisation ones shouldn't be used in a household environment. The photoelectric smoke alarms are by far the best. And these ones, you don't even have to change the battery. So you forget about the change your clocks, change the battery with these.
Yeah.
The battery's internal, completely non-serviceable. I guess there'll be an alarm go off once the battery depletes.
Yeah.
There you go. It says a 30-day warning there on the packet that you get before it actually fails. Replace it. They're $20. Yeah. Everyone can afford $20, you know.
Well, we're going to get with them tomorrow.
And the photoelectric will pick up a small smouldering fire earlier than an ionisation detector will. So that gives you plenty of time to be made aware that there is a fire in the house, and it probably gives you an opportunity to knock it down too before it gets too big.
So photoelectric,
compartmentalize it at the very least.
Yep.
Yeah. Mr. Bullett's just brought up a good point about yellow fire extinguishers. Are they now illegal? Yes, they are.
In all
but the old yellow ones. Yeah, geez, I forgot all about those. Now I've got a bloody. Oh no, that didn't work. Full screen. Now I can't hit the play button on that. Oh well, I'll get rid of that. I'll have another go, guys. Sorry about that. Remove. Remove from studio. Is it still up there? I'm going to have another go, guys. I didn't talk through that one. Present.
Look.
Stop the screen. That's not going to work. Hang on. I'm going to add this one on. We'll talk about fire extinguishers. This one here. Can you see that, Brad?
Yeah, mate.
Yep.
Can you see that one?
Yep, got it.
Okay. Obviously, the most common, I've got a small 1.5 kilogram fire extinguisher in the kitchen, and it's a dry chemical because it will do most fires. And obviously, if I've got a cooking oil fire, I've got the fire blanket there for it. So probably dry chemical powder, the DCP one, is the way to go with a white stripe.
Yep. So as you can see there, all the different categories of fire. So A, B, C. There's a D that belongs in there as well, but it's really not relevant because that's flammable metals. So a Class E fire electrical. The only thing it's not really recommended for is a cooking oil and fat fire. But you can see there the old dry powder. It's a red extinguisher with a white band around it. You'll see them for sale at Bunnings. They're, like I said, $20 as well.
Yeah.
I think you can buy. I think for $30 you can go in and buy a 1 kilo dry chem and a fire blanket for $30. I think $29.95 or something. They're cheap as chips.
So if you haven't got one in your house, go Super Cheap Auto, Bunnings, something like that, and have one in your boat and have one in your 4-wheel drive as well. It's a little 1.5 kilo.
Yeah. And you can see there from the other types of extinguishers what you can and can't use them on or shouldn't use them on. You can see there also it says a limited effect. It's basically what that means is it's not really the right one, but it might give you a little bit of help given the fact that you're using it on a different class of fire. But just remember, don't put water on electrical fire. That's the main thing. And or a oil fire.
Yeah.
What's the wet chemical? Is that like a foam or something for the cooking oil? It's the only one that will do the cooking oils and that, mate. That's some sort of chemical that bloody snuffs out the oxygen?
Yeah, so it forms a barrier because normally a cooking oil would be in like a fryer vat, like like what you had when you were in your shop. You would have had a deep fryer there. You wouldn't use it on a small, one in your kitchen at home, like your deep fry. You just put the lid back on it or put your fire blanket over it. But in a large commercial operation, you would have a wet chemical, and it basically just goes on and then it skins over the top of it. So it excludes the oxygen. Obviously turn the heat off, because that's what's causing your fire in the first place. The cooking oil has got to a auto ignition temperature. Justin. What technology? Is that what Dan Andrews gave you, mate, was it?
Yeah, we just upgraded from these. That was probably last year.
The other thing with wet chemical extinguishers too is in a commercial kitchen, for example, if they have a cooking fat fire and they hit it with a wet chemical extinguisher, they can actually scrape the extinguisher back off the top of the oil once the fire's out and continue cooking. So there's no actual. So it doesn't affect the oil or anything like that. It doesn't.
Oh well.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and get this going now. Present. I'm going to share my screen. Share screen. How to use a fire blanket. This is a really quick one, everyone. Brad sent this to me. Hopefully you can all see that. You see that, Jace?
Use a fire blanket when there is more flame, and only if you feel safe to do so. To use a fire blanket,
he looks like the bloke out of the Wiggles, I reckon. That bloke.
pull the fire blanket from its bag and hold the two tabs with the blanket corners over your hands to protect them. Slowly walk towards the fire with your arms outstretched. Carefully place the blanket over the pot. Do your best to form a seal so oxygen cannot get in. Do not remove the blanket, as the fire could reignite. Turn off the gas and electricity at the stove or at the main supply. Close the door, get out, stay out, and call 000. Even if you have successfully extinguished the fire, call 000 so firefighters can come and check that it is fully out and that you are okay.
That last point I think is really important, because as Justin said there earlier, most urban fire appliances and probably a lot of RFS now carry thermal imaging cameras.
Yes.
So if most houses have got a range hood above them, some of which are ventilated. So there's a tube that runs inside your roof into an outside vent. If you have had a fire on the stove, you don't know what's actually gotten up inside that exhaust system. So get the fire brigade to come in and check it out. It's not going to cost you anything. It won't cost you a cent, right? But it's some good peace of mind. If the house has got smoke in there, we run what we call positive pressure fans these days. We can set a fan up. We can get all the smoke out of the house for you. We can check it out, make sure it's safe, recommend any sort of repairs that might need to be done from an electrical perspective, maybe shut the circuit off, turn the power off, whatever. But that point is really important. Get the fireys to come in and check it out, because you don't know what else could be lingering in the roof. And all of a sudden, half an hour later, your neighbour knocks on your front door and says, "Sorry, mate, but your roof's on fire."
That's a good point.
I had an incident here probably 3 years ago now. We just had solar fitted on the house, and I came back from a night shift, and I turned the kettle on and put the toaster on, and the power cut out. And I thought, what the hell's going on? So I went to the power board outside, and there was smoke coming out of it. And then I could hear a sizzle, and I'm thinking, seriously, I'm going to have to call the fire brigade. And the reason I saw that it was out, but I couldn't tell what was behind the wall, and behind the power board was the spare room, and that could potentially, if the fire could have been up in the wall cavity. So I ended up having to call the fire brigade to come with their thermal imager just to check it for me. I knew every single one of the blokes on the truck. It was embarrassing.
Would have cost you some beers. Hey, the Wanderer's got a good question here. Which chemical? I'm tipping DCP, dry chemical. Which extinguisher is best for four-wheel drives? I'm running dry powder one in the Ranger. I think that's the one to get, the DCP, dry chemical powder. And as you can see, it does most fire. So, yeah, DCP. Rob, the one you got in there, mate's fine. And if you haven't got one in your boat or your four-wheel drive, they're cheap, as Brad said. You get $30. You can get a little 1.5 or 1 kilo dry chemical powder extinguisher, and a fire blanket for your kitchen. So if you haven't got that in your kitchen, guys, probably look at doing it. If you haven't got fire alarms, go and get those. What are they? Photosynthetic or something?
Photoelectric.
Photoelectric, the photoelectric ones. So I'm going to go and get 2 of them tomorrow, mate. Pisses me off. You're trying to sleep and you the budgery going. They're annoying. They really are. So thanks for that, Rob, that question. Hey, guys, we're nearly 2 hours. Going to finish up with a bit of funny stuff. I'm going to show you a funny, a couple of funny videos, guys. So bear with me then. And then I was wondering what Jace was laughing at there. That's an improvement, actually, Brad.
Thank you.
Here we go. We're going to share the screen.
Is the Gidgee on?
Yeah, the Gidgee's there. The Gidgee's on.
Oh,
here we go, guys. I had a spy out the other morning down at Justin Dillon's bloody
here we go.
fire station. And this was Justin before he even started work. This is the boys doing some warm-ups at the fire station the other day. And Justin actually wins this one, guys. This is Justin who actually wins.
I wish my knees could do it.
Dillon, everyone. I'll tell you what, that was pretty impressive.
Not sure about the outfit though. What's going on there?
Yeah.
Oh, you've got an outfit like that, don't you, mate?
Kathy Freeman in 2000.
I wouldn't look too good in that.
And there's another one here. This is Ho's got away on Justin the other day, and
I like popping all the grief.
Video. This is Justin rescuing the boys from a loose hose the other day, guys. Watch this one. This is bloody funny. Present, share screen. I've got to talk through it or I stuff it up. Here we go. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah. There we go.
No. There it goes.
Oh, geez.
Here he goes. Look.
Bloody hell.
There you go. You got it. I'll tell you, imagine that nozzle coming back and slamming you in the face. That would hurt.
It'll break your ankles.
Incident report.
That
How
would
did the
hurt.
injury occur? What are you going to do next time to prevent it? Don't be a dickhead.
What is it? 109. I don't know if that's someone sent me something about the fires or. Was that? Did you send me something then, Brad?
No, mate.
Oh, someone's just sent me another little video there. I forgot to upload it. But hey, listen, there's another thing. I don't know if you guys know or not, but a couple of the blokes on the screen there are were good lookers in their day and have actually appeared in the fireman's calendar.
Here we go. My mate has.
I don't know if you know all of these blokes, and the only reason, Jason, you go appear in here, I couldn't get a pit close up of your head. But here's as you know, the Fireys do a bloody a calendar every year, guys. And you can see that they don't work real hard. All they do is spend time in the gym. But I've got a couple of the lads from work sent me these photos of Brad and Justin in their younger days. And I don't know if you know or not, but they actually appeared in the calendars. And here's the first one. Here's the first one here now. You can see. There's Brad Howell, guys. Mary, you are a lucky woman. Check him out.
Oh, my God.
Look at the size of the hose on him, too. Unbelievable, Bradley. I didn't know you looked like that in your younger days, mate. Dead set. Don't worry, don't you like Justin Dillon? Someone sent me a photo of you, too, in the bloody Victorian Firefighters calendar. There you are there. A little picture you got out of the tree the other day.
That's probably a mate of mine, believe it or not.
That's it. I'm a bit worried about you fireys sitting around checking each other out with your shirts off all day, taking photos of yourselves. I tell you what,
takes a special person, I tell you.
Gidgey said, I've got to tell this story because it's bloody funny. Christmas Day in the Rogers household, there's Gidgey, my son Phil, me, Mum, I think Dad, but Dad was still alive at the time. Anyway, Gidgey's playing Santa Claus and he's under the Christmas tree and he used to hand the presents out. So first present out from under the tree, this is about 7:30 in the morning. The day hadn't even got started. The first present comes out and it's for my son Phil. And Gidgey goes, here, Phil, your first present. So Phil unwraps it and it's a fireman's calendar from my mum, from his nan. Anyway, Phil opens it up and it's a fireman's calendar and he goes, what did you get this for me, nan? Like, as if to go, it's a bloody fireman's calendar. And then Gidgey goes, what do you think, Phil's gay or something, do you, Mum? So Mum grabs the calendar, launches it against the wall and goes, stick Christmas up your ass. That was the start of Christmas Day in the Rogers household. The first present out from under the tree was a fireman's calendar from the son. And Phil was like, in one upset. And Gidgey goes, what do you think, he's friggin' gay or something, Mum? And Mum throws the calendar, stick Christmas up your ass. And that was Christmas Day in the Rogers household, the old fiery calendar. So, yeah. I had another good one, and I'm spewing. I forgot to I was a bit unprepared. I downloaded a photo, and I was going to say, during the thing, the coppers are out on patrol during the night. The prison officers are patrolling the prisons to keep the community safe, and the ambos are responding to all the jobs and all this type of stuff. And I said, here's Justin Dillon on a night shift, guys. I actually had a photo of a fiery in his fireman's outfit, sound asleep in bed on night. Because I do know you blokes have a nap at night time, and that's okay, is it, mate? On a serious note, like it is. We got caught sleeping, we lose our job.
Yeah, so we're allowed to what they call rest and recline between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. So every fire station's got a bed for each firefighter, so you can have a lie down and go to sleep. It's not the best night's sleep. Your brain knows that you're not at home, so you don't sleep well. But the reason being is that, and I mentioned it too last night, that half an hour or 45 minutes working within a structure, working hard with all your gear on, is the equivalent of working an 8-hour day. There's been studies done worldwide. So the reason that we're allowed to go to bed between those times is because at any moment we could be woken up and we could be working hard for the remainder of that night shift. And it's happened in the past on so many occasions. I've lost count now, especially working in the CBD of Melbourne. You get back from one call, you lay on your bed, then the bells go off again, you're gone. You get back, same thing, bells go off, you get up again. It's constant. And not long ago I had a fire, Temple fire. We got back from that and then just finished cleaning our gear, had a shower, and then we got another. I just dropped on my bed. I was exhausted, and not 10 minutes later, we're off to another factory fire.
Yeah. Hey, so speaking of that Temple fire, mate, I'm going to see if I can find that. I've got it on here somewhere. Video file. It's the. Let me try and find it. I think it's this one here. Yeah. Can you see that?
That's it.
I'll get you to after it's finished, we'll just watch it and then we'll get you to talk through. Yep. Actually, just tell us what this is first, mate. You can see that all right?
Yeah, I can see that. So that was a temple fire, Buddhist temple fire in Springvale, which is in the southeast suburbs of Melbourne. Big Vietnamese community in Springvale, huge. And they just finished celebrating Chinese New Year, so they let off crackers, etc. Unfortunately, everyone had gone home that afternoon. They locked the gates at the front. And the boys down at Fire Station 89 in Springvale, they got called to a room fire at this temple. And I'm not exaggerating, they're about 20-second drive away from this temple. They turned out and responded to that room fire. And if you can see the roof, everyone can see the roof line there. It's a steel structure, but it's got all of that timber is all timber fretwork. So they got there, the room was on, they could see the room was on fire. By the time they forced entry in through the gate, drove the truck in, and then stretched hose up towards that bedroom, or that room that was on fire, the whole temple just like a steam train just careered along on fire, and there was no stopping it, unfortunately. And it was a huge loss for the Vietnamese community in Springvale. It's like their community hub, and down below it was a lot of ashes, or almost like catacombs, I guess, where deceased family members were left in the temple. Yeah. And I believe they did manage to salvage most of them, but unfortunately, it didn't matter how hard we worked. There was no stopping that.
Well, watch to the end here. You can just see it's a beautiful big building, isn't it? Have a look at it. Look at the fire in under the roof there, mate. Eh?
Yeah, under the eaves. Yeah.
So you can see you got one coming over the top. Justin, talk us through that. You got one hose up on the roof, and you've got another crew getting in under the roof there.
Yeah, so that truck, the lights you can see down the bottom right-hand screen there, that's a ladder platform. So there'd be two guys. There'd be a bloke down below operating the BA cylinders and stuff, which are fed up to the bloke in the basket up top. So he'll have a breathing apparatus on. So he'll be operating the, making sure he's got enough oxygen or air, and the bloke up in what they call the pulpit up there, he'll be moving himself around and controlling that water jet. And then you've probably got a ground crew to the left there. You can see the hose strand going up, trying to extinguish under the eaves there. But that was the back of the temple. There was a lot more trucks out the front. Yeah,
geez, be sad getting there and seeing a beautiful building like that, and knowing that's beyond rescuing now, but you've got to try and do what you can do, mate. And it's bloody sad, isn't it?
It took them about 10 years to build, I think. Unfortunately, it's gone within a matter of seconds.
Buggers, not good at all. Remove that one. I've got some other stuff there, guys, but we're well over 2 hours now, so we might wind it up there. We could talk all night about, there was other questions I wanted to ask you about firefighting and all that, but we've gone 2 hours. It bloody time flies, doesn't it, when you're having fun? Hey, I know we weren't allowed to talk about the vote. Has anyone got a bit of an update on what's happening?
Yeah, the no vote got up.
It did it?
Yeah, and what I saw a couple of hours ago, about half an hour into the live feed, apparently the no vote got up.
Prime Minister's addressing the country now.
He is he? All right. Yeah. Might go and watch that, because that was an important thing to see. I think everyone the polls were tipping towards no, and it looks like no got up. So I just want to say now, Elbow, if you're watching, get on with it now and start running the friggin' country, mate, please. There's other issues at hand, and we need to I'll tell you what, the fireys in Gaza would be busy at the moment, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be there.
USAR would be busy.
Hey?
USAR would be busy.
Oh, mate. That's
rescue guys.
Yes.
That's another role that fire services do too. I know New South Wales have got 2 USAR UN accredited USAR teams that can go anywhere. One of my old senior instructors, who's now a chief superintendent, he was actually sent to Kobe. Was it Kobe that had the earthquake? And the tsunami when the big tsunami happened, he was sent over there after that to help with the effort. And they were basically tenting it in sub-zero temperatures on their own, because they have to be fully self-contained. to be able to do that. And that's what I mean about our fire services and our cops and our AMBOs are some of the best that you can get anywhere in the world. And anyone tells you anything different, they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
I know they went
very
to
multi-skilled.
Christchurch, Brad, too. The New South Wales USAR went to Christchurch during the earthquake as well. I remember seeing them go over there. So
been all over the world.
Well said, Brad.
Yeah.
Well said on that one. Hey, I just want to say, fellas, thanks for coming on tonight, and thank you on behalf of all of the community. Thank you for the job you do, or for you, Brad, for the job you did, mate. You know, your own business, mate, running bloody Ultratune and all that. And in your downtime, you're out there bloody helping the community out as a fiery. And Justin, you've been doing it a long time, mate. You're a professional thing. And especially to you, Jason, you do it for the love of it, mate. You go out and you're out there today and yesterday and the day before, putting your life on the line with the Rural Fire Service. And I'll tell you what, I take my hat off to you guys. And another thing I used to get proud of is you go to a bad traffic accident or something out on the highway and seeing the police and the AMBOs and the fireys all working together as a team. It was a good feeling. We all had our jobs to do and we all got in and we worked as a team. And at the end of the job, you just think, bloody, that was good. You know, that's what the public expect from us. And that's exactly what they get. And you're right, Brad, we're very professional, whether you're police, fiery, AMBOs, bloody whatever.
Yes.
Unfortunately, my mental health is suffering for it.
Who's it? Yours is?
Yeah. That's why I suffer from anxiety, PTSD, and everything else at the moment is what I've had to endure with. Yeah.
Don't let it get to you, mate. And you're still out there doing it, mate.
I still get on the truck every day, and yeah.
Good on you, mate. We bloody love you for it. We appreciate everything you do. Any job where you're keeping the community safe, bloody good on you. And, mate, Jace, I'm always here for a chat, mate. And anyone in the community, hopefully you've got the support. Justin, for you guys, used to go in and finding dead bodies in burnout houses. Hopefully you guys have got the support mechanisms in place to support you guys, because people don't think about that shit. People think, fireys go to a fire. But they don't think about seeing dead animals, like even, finding 3 dead dogs in the house, or even worse, a couple of young kids. That's got to take its toll on you. And Brad, you've probably bloody been subjected to that type of stuff as well. It's heartbreaking, mate. And
we're quite lucky. We've got our peer support system's huge at Fire Rescue Victoria. We've got full-time psychologists on duty, and we didn't talk about it, but we attend emergency medical response calls, so they've had to beef it up a bit for that as well. So thankfully in Victoria here with Fire Rescue Victoria, it's second to none the support you get, which is fantastic. Every year we do the psychologist comes into work and we sit down and answer a survey, and they tell you to tick it honestly, because you're only cheating yourself otherwise. And I did mine. I think 2 months ago, and thankfully came out with flying colours. He said that my results are fantastic, and I'm obviously in a good place. But going back probably a little while ago, it wouldn't have been the same result. But having spoken to a psychologist and talked about experiences we've seen and stuff, it certainly helps. And what they call it a shit bucket. So eventually your bucket fills up and the shit overflows. You need to talk to someone.
Yeah.
And because you're not a superhero. But speaking from Fire Rescue Victoria point of view, I can't fault the services we're offered, which is great.
And hopefully your peers, I know in corrections we go to a major incident where bad assaults or something that happened in the prison, and then the throwaway line at the end of the debrief would be, anyone I wanted to speak to, whatever the agency was that had taken over corrections, bloody, have a chat if you're not doing well. And if anyone ever spoke up, it was like, you weak prick, what's wrong with you type thing. Hopefully you haven't got that in the fireys, mate, where if someone is doing it a bit tough, you get supported by your peers.
It used to be like that. You're spot on. It used to be that oh, those nuffies are going to come in and talk to you, the peer support people. Anyone wants to talk to them, yeah, whatever, do it if you want to. But people are ashamed to do it. But now that stigma's gone. If we attend a bad incident now, we've got our on-duty commanders will actually call you up, come down and see you, and they'll generally take you offline. So they'll organise what they call a move up. So they'll move another truck up to the fire station, take you offline and say, go get a coffee, go do whatever you want, just clear your heads, and we'll get the psychologists to come in and talk to you if you need them. So that stigma's gone, thank goodness.
The RFS is the same. They're really good with the mental health side of things. The program that they've got is really good. The peer support just within the brigade is fantastic. And the same sort of thing, if we have a really bad one, we've got all the people in place to be able to offer that support to the fireys. And even if you don't want to use what the service provides, you've got your own psychologist, or you've got someone else that you can speak to. The RFS will support you there too. So
that's good to hear.
It is. It's really good. They bring down the prayer basins, and it's really good. Yeah.
Sounds like the fireys do it a lot better than the coppers and corrections. You do it good. And I'll tell you another thing you do well is take pride in your fire station. Every fire station you go past in Australia, flying the Aussie and the state flag, and you know what I mean, and the station is pristine. You go past the bloody Innisfail police station, there's friggin' mould all over it, and no one gives a shit, but you go past the fire station and it's immaculate. And the fireys take pride in what they do. And that's one thing I love about the fireys. You do take pride in your job, mate. You're all proud of what you do, and everyone's proud of what you guys do as well. So thanks again for everything. And Brad, I know you're retired now, mate, buddy, sit back and enjoy retirement. You've done the hard yards too, mate, and thank you for everything you've done.
I may not be finished yet.
Are you doing a bloody Johnny Farnham?
I might be.
Are you really? You want to let the cat out of the bag? Or is Mary no? Is Mary walking the gun off to the side as we speak?
Mate, that woman is so understanding, and to do what all of us do, including cops and ambos, you need a support at home. You cannot do it without it. And some of the unsung heroes are the partners, whether they be husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever.
Yeah.
You need support at home to be able to go and do what you do.
Yeah.
And I said to her, I don't think I'm finished yet. And she said, oh, what do you want to do? And I've actually applied for the RFS. I can't go back and do fire rescue because I've got to have minimum attendances there, and I won't be able to make those in the way that I want to do it. But I figure that we'll be away for the winters in our new van when we get it, and so I'll be home for summer. So if I can be home for summer and I can help the local brigade out, whether it be in a firefighting role or whether it be a logistics role or whatever, then I'm happy to do that. So about 4 weeks ago, I filled in the application online, and I'm waiting to hear back. So
good on you, mate.
We'll wait anyway, and whatever way I can help out, I'd still like to, because I think I've still got something to give. So,
good on you, mate.
Yeah.
Just on that, Buck, just quickly, just touching on what Brad was just saying there. Yeah, joining the RFS, you don't have to get on a truck and go and throw yourself in the front of a fire. There's so many other roles within the RFS that you can volunteer for. Like there's the catering brigades, communication brigades, logistics.
Yeah.
They're always screaming out for volunteers to help out. The caterers, they do a fantastic job in keeping us fed on firegrounds if we're out there for umpteen days. So, you don't always have to get on a big red truck and go and throw yourself at a fire. There's always other work that needs to be done in the background,
The thing that you've got to remember is that sorry to interrupt you, Buck. The thing is that everybody that works for fire rescue, New South Wales, Victoria, RFS, whatever, their job is to support the men and women that climb on those trucks and in those appliances every day. That is their job, because it's at that point that the rubber meets the road, that the people actually see, because it gets back to what I said earlier about you ring 000 and someone turns up in a big red truck or an ambulance or a police car, whatever. But everything that anybody else does in that organisation supports those men and women that are in those jobs going and riding in those trucks. So that's what I always used to love to do. I used to love to get out on the fire ground, used to go out and do, and I'll do anything. I don't care. Stand me on a barrier tape line. Stop people. I don't care, whatever. Because there's, you know, the age I was saying, there's no I in team. And the other thing is, if I can just very quickly say, whenever there's a bad situation in town, you know, like the local cops have had some bad accidents or whatever, I actually keep a couple of tins of these at home. Just bought them from the local confectionery place. They're a sealed drum, like a paint tin of Chupa Chups. They're sealed. They last for ages. Take them in there, give them to your local cops or your local fires, your local ambos, and just say, thanks, guys. You know, it doesn't have to be anything big or major, you know, but those sort of things I think are appreciated, you know, by everyone. And it just goes to show that, and I think the cops have got the hardest job of all of us, because they're the ones that hand out traffic tickets. They're there, you know, telling you can't do this, can't do that. Whereas fireys and ambos, we're never, ever sent there to make the problem worse, only ever better.
Yeah.
Just remember that, Jason. You're there to make things better, mate, never, ever worse.
Hey, do they do buckets of donuts, mate, for the coppers? I'll take a bucket of donuts in. I'll go, get out of here, you smart ass. But anyway, on that note, thanks for tuning in tonight, guys. Really appreciate it. It's been another marathon, but hey, there's 4 of us on, everyone having a chat. I think it's worked well having 4 diddly donks on the screen at the one time. It's worked quite well. I might have to do it again with another bloody 3 diddly donks.
Maybe we'll do it after the
get
fire
Lukey
season.
Reed on one night. We'll get some other diddly donks on. But it's
And I
good to
got
have.
I got through the 2.5 hours without my phone going off. That's a bonus.
Yeah, no, that's good. But it's just good to know that the community out there, the community that we've built over the years, and that we got guys that you're part of the community, and we've got bloody legends in this community that do all sorts of different stuff. And this just 3 guys as part of the community here, guys, that have done some wonderful stuff for their community. So once again, fellas, well done. Thanks for joining me tonight. Thanks to everyone out there who stayed on and watched tonight. Really appreciate it. It's been a fantastic night. And I don't know what we'll do next live feed, but any of you guys ever want to come on one of my live feeds, you're always welcome. Anyway, good night, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. See you later.
Thanks,